What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be taking a good look at the Battle Hardened perk in Modern Warfare 2, just to see how effective it actually is at countering the items that it's meant to counter, because I often see this complaint in the community that Battle Hardened isn't doing enough to protect against the things that it's meant to protect against, and people are still often losing situations against flashbangs and stun grenades, even though they're using the perk that's specifically designed to counter those items. And diving right into it, according to the description, Battle Hardened reduces the effects of enemy flash, stun, EMP, gas grenades, and shock sticks, and you're also immune to snapshot grenades. So we're going to be going through each one of those items in today's video and looking at a side-by-side comparison when using Battle Hardened versus when you aren't using Battle Hardened. And we're going to start this off with the big one. This is the flashbang. I feel like in Modern Warfare 2, this is one of the most powerful flashbang grenades we've seen in at least recent years of Call of Duty. You may want to put some sunglasses on for this section, because this is what it looks like when you get flashed without Battle Hardened. And now let's look at a side-by-side comparison. And as you can see here, Battle Hardened is actually helping quite a bit. While you still are completely blinded for a brief period of time with a flashbang, you can start seeing your environment far sooner when you're using Battle Hardened versus when you aren't using Battle Hardened. In fact, I calculated the amount of time where your screen is like completely white and you can't see anything. And without Battle Hardened, it's completely white for about 1.3 seconds. Whereas with Battle Hardened, this is roughly half a second before you can start to see some things again. So based on this, Battle Hardened is actually helping quite a bit when it comes to flashbangs, but flashbangs are still very powerful, and therefore it's still very possible that the enemy is going to get that kill on you due to that flashbang, even if you're using the Battle Hardened perk. Personally, if anything in this situation, I don't think it's Battle Hardened that's the problem, but perhaps the flashbangs are the problem here, and maybe there could be a little bit of a tune down on that. But the perk itself is definitely doing its job here, at least. Next up, let's have a look at the stun grenade. And with the stuns in Modern Warfare 2, I honestly don't feel like they're nearly as powerful as some recent years, and the flashbang does seem to be the better option this time around. But just like always with Call of Duty, the stun grenade will impact not only our rotational speed, so the ability to turn your aim to get on target, it also affects your movement speed and significantly slows you down. And as we can see here, once again, Battle Hardened is getting us back in the action way faster than if we aren't using Battle Hardened. I did the math on this one, and without Battle Hardened, the stun grenade effect will last for a total of 3 seconds, whereas with Battle Hardened, it's just a little bit over 1 second for a roughly 60% improvement here. Battle Hardened works really well against stun grenades, and your odds of survival increase drastically when using this perk. After that, let's have a look at the shock stick, and in this game, the shock stick's actually very unique for Call of Duty. It forces your character to fire the gun when you're directly impacted by the shock stick. And in addition to that, while you're directly affected, you can't aim down sight, and it will stop you from sprinting as well. And with this, unfortunately, based on my testing, it seems like Battle Hardened doesn't actually help against shock sticks, or at least not to a noticeable degree. You're still forced to fire your gun, you can't aim down sight, you can't sprint, and it seems to affect you for the same amount of time as when you're not using Battle Hardened. So I'd say Battle Hardened is definitely not an effective counter to the shock stick in its current state. And this is an area where I definitely feel like Battle Hardened should be buffed. It does state that it's designed to reduce the effects against shock sticks, and I'm just not seeing that reduction here, at least not to a noticeable degree. And if it were up to me, the change I'd probably make here is I'd make it so you aren't forced to fire your gun due to a shock stick if you're using Battle Hardened. But it still could maintain the other elements like preventing you from sprinting and potentially even preventing you from aiming down sight. I think that'd be a fair compromise where you'd still be seeing some big benefits from using Battle Hardened by not being forced to fire your gun, but the shock stick would still be having at least somewhat of an effect on you. It doesn't need to be a full counter, just a partial counter at least would be nice. As for the next piece of equipment we're going to test here, this is the gas grenade. And the big thing with this one is when you're not using Battle Hardened and you get hit by a gas grenade or you enter the area of a gas grenade, the first big thing is you're forced to come out of aiming down sight, and you can't aim down sight for a period of time. And based on my testing, this period of time was roughly 2.5 seconds, which is quite a long time to be prevented from aiming down sight, especially if you were engaging in a gunfight and somebody just hit you with a gas grenade. With the time to kill in this game, somebody could literally kill you 10 times over while you can't aim down sight. But on top of that, it does slow your movement speed down, prevents you from sprinting within the radius of a gas grenade, and there's also a little bit of a visual distortion effect on your screen. And it turns out with this one, when you are using Battle Hardened, first up, your aim down sight isn't interrupted at all. You can aim down sight as much as you want, whenever you want in a gas grenade. And also the visual distortion effect is severely reduced. However, even if you have Battle Hardened on, you're still going to be prevented from sprinting through the radius of a gas grenade. So it's still going to slow you down, but you're at least going to be a whole lot more effective in a gunfight when in the radius of that gas grenade. Now finally, for the tactical equipment in this game, the Battle Hardened perk is meant to counter snapshot grenades, and in the description it says you're immune to snapshot grenades, not just have a reduced effect. And with this one, we're now looking at this from the enemy's perspective, not my own perspective here. And as we can see here, a snapshot grenade will show you through walls if you get hit by that snapshot grenade. And even without Battle Hardened, you don't show up through these walls for very long. It's only about 1.25 seconds, so a very brief flash, but enemies can see you through walls for that period of time. Whereas with Battle Hardened, the enemy player will still get a hit marker and they'll get a little indicator letting them know that you have Battle Hardened equipped, but they don't get to see you through those walls at all. So they're still alerted to your presence in the vicinity, they just won't be able to see exactly where you are through surfaces. And that wraps it up for all of the tactical equipment that Battle Hardened counters. However, they also mention in the description EMP. And in the game's current state, there's nothing that's actually called EMP that I'm aware of. However, the DDOS field upgrade is an EMP device that you pull out and activate. And therefore, I assume that's what they're talking about with this description. So I did do the testing with this. And unfortunately, as far as I can tell, Battle Hardened has zero impact on DDoS based on my tests. With this, your entire heads-up display will be scrambled for a total of 6 seconds, both with or without Battle Hardened equipped. And as a result, I'm starting to think this is instead just an error with their description. Perhaps they had planned to put an EMP grenade in as a tactical piece of equipment, and they forgot to remove it from the description, or maybe they just copied and pasted this description from previous Call of Duty games, or maybe they're planning on adding an EMP grenade in the future, and they just forgot to update their description. In either case, just know Battle Hardened doesn't appear to help at all against the DDoS field upgrade. And with that wraps it up for the testing that I did with Battle Hardened. As for my final thoughts on this, do I feel like Battle Hardened needs a buff? Honestly, I think it's in a good place for most things, aside from the fact that I do feel like there should maybe be a buff against the shock sticks, since I'm not really seeing any noticeable difference there. At least not enough of a difference that it would actually impact your ability to fight back when shocked by one of those shock sticks. And I do feel like if you're using one of your perk slots to specifically counter something like that, then it should actually be helping you a noticeable amount against that item. Additionally, when we're talking about the big one, which is flash grenades, I honestly feel that's more of an issue with the equipment itself, and if anything, I'd rather see a nerf across the board to the flashbang rather than a buff to Battle Hardened against the flashbang, because we already do see a very noticeable improvement with Battle Hardened there, and I don't think it's the perk that's the problem in that case. I think it's the piece of equipment. Now, of course, those are just my opinions based on the testing that I've done here, and I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comment section down below. How do you feel about Battle Hardened in its current state in Modern Warfare 2? Do you think this needs some buffs in some particular areas? Or do you think it's balanced just fine as is? Also, I'm just curious to know what you guys think about the flashbang in this game. Do you think Battle Hardened needs a buff against that? Or do you feel like the flashbang itself needs a nerf? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.